Hey everybody, it's Tyler Esselman.
And it's Michael Osinski.
And you are listening to This One Goes to 11.
This One Goes to 11. It's still the podcast where we invite someone to share an album with us that they believe is perfect.
So perfect, in fact, Michael, that 10 out of 10 just isn't good enough. I like how you said it's the podcast.
The podcast. And also, even though 10 out of 10 isn't good enough, this is season 10, and we're okay with 10 for that, I guess.
Yeah, we'll take 10 for that, for sure.
But we're doing something very specific this season, are we not, Tyler?
We are, yeah. We thought for our season, our nice round number of 10, that we would do a little something different in how we composed our guests, our list of guests this year. And if you've seen the title to this episode, you might be thinking, I recognize that name. And you should expect to recognize a lot of names this season because all of our guests in season 10 have been guests before. They're already friends of the pod, right, Michael?
It's true. And because they came back, we gave them a very special task, which is they had to nominate albums that they believe are perfect that were released before they were born. Mm-hmm. So, maybe we'll reveal a little bit about some people's ages as a result of this.
Or not.
Or not. Who knows?
You all can do math. You're fine.
Yeah. It's all good. But yeah, so we thought we'd, give a little theme to the season. I don't know. I like theming things because I'm a nerd, but, that's how
keep things different. And as long as we don't whiff on any of our themes in such a way as, Bake Off did for some of their themed weeks, then I think we'll be okay. As long as we stay above that line and with the quality of our themes, then we're good.
Bake Off reference of season 10.
Check.
Number 1. Okay, there we go. All right, cool. Putting that in there.
All right. So should we tell them who we got to for our first repeat guest, our first friend coming back?
We are welcoming back Jess Winingham.
Cha-cha. Hi, Jess. Welcome back.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good today. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been I think I was trying to do the math. When did Jess's episode come out, Michael?
You asked me a question. The one thing I didn't research before this episode.
It was 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago? Okay.
That was what I was going to say.
It was right before my birthday, and I'm 42 now, and I was turning 40.
Which I have a follow-up question. Did you end up going to the Star Trek VR room?
Yes. Oh. It was so great. And I have to tell you, I'd never done one before. And it was a workout. Like I was shooting Klingons on the ground. Like I sweat. It was great.
That's so interesting. I'm not a Star Trek guy. It's like, so we're fighting against the Klingons. I thought we liked the Klingons.
No, well, I mean, it depends. But I'm a big Star Trek nerd. Yeah, no, but they were attacking a base. And so we had to go in and take them out. But it was they were coming from all sides. And so it was very interactive.
That's great.
What was it that was talking about how you're either a Star Trek person or you're a Star Wars person and each tell a different version of what good governing is or something like that? Or morality, different ideas about morality?
Mm-hmm. I hear this a lot, this comparison. I love Star Wars, but I would definitely say I'm more of a Star Trek person because Star Trek's world governance, like you're saying, is what I want. It's socialist.
It's a vision.
It's there's no money. There's universal translation, everyone's working together. It's the future I actually want. Whereas Star Wars, as much as I love it, Luke is obnoxious.
Hot take.
Also, it's just it's what we maybe one of the macro stories we can take from Star Wars, and this can be on our film podcast someday. But we can check that off the list.
Reference to another podcast, number 1. There we go.
Check.
Okay, all right.
But it's that constant cycle, right? It's that constant cycle of authoritarianism and then revolution and then that kind of thing. It's are we just gonna keep doing this forever?
Right. Whereas Star Trek, it's not. It's much more about diplomacy and discovering new species and how do you negotiate that. It's more of what I would actually want to live in, that kind of world. Yeah.
You're here. Well, okay, we could go pretty far afield on that one. But so for those of you who may not remember, Jess and I met because Jess was my teacher, my drama teacher in high school. Oh, thank God, right? I love PJ Barbeau. No shade to PJ Barbeau, and she was a huge formative influence on me. We talked to Marcy Barbeau last season.
Nice.
But no shade to PJ. Love you, PJ. Jess, you and I met because you came in my senior year to teach drama at Lindbergh High School, and it was it was love at first sight. We loved you.
Yeah.
We loved you from the very beginning, all of us in the
Same.
Thespians.
Same.
Yeah.
And the last time you were here, you talked about an album, which I think, people would have a hard time arguing that it's not perfect, that being Fleetwood Mac's Rumours.
Yes.
So kind of a tough act to follow, Jess. What do you, what album are you bringing? Sorry, I have to word this correctly. What album hast thou brought before the tribunal today?
Ooh, good sirs, I bring forth to you Joan Armatrading's self-titled album. 1976? I feel like you would know, Michael.
It's 1976.
I'm not the one doing the 60 seconds for this one,
yeah.
so Tyler,
Okay.
I should know that one. But
her debut came out in 72. I had very little familiarity with Joan Armatrading before this, so and you did mention her in your first episode. You did mention how your mom and you shared a deep love for Miss Armatrading's work, so that certainly influenced our decision to have this be the album that you would talk about today.
Yeah. Well, and she, as a child, I was introduced to her, and actually a lot of people in my family love this album specifically, but I remember thinking, the cover is just it's just her, and it's like she has no makeup on, she's got an afro, it's just like her in front of a mic, and that is how she's presented herself pretty much her whole career, which I love because she's just no pretense. There's no pretense anywhere, and this album is so genuine, which I've always loved. Because even as a child, I was like, oh man, this chick is cool. Like she's like, she's like cool and and so she doesn't even try. She's just cool. Yeah. And so I've always wanted to be like her.
Okay, well said. Real quick sidebar, because I feel like this is relevant to how we'll talk about her. Have you ever noticed there's this tendency when we refer to women public figures to refer to them as their first name, and if they're male public figures to refer to them as their last name? You ever notice that? Like when we were talking about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, it was always Kamala. It wasn't really Harris. And when with Joe, it was Biden. You ever notice that tendency? Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think you're right. I would say
we can talk this later if we want.
Well, no, okay. There's some artists though that I feel like are so powerful you have to do their full name. So like I always refer to David Bowie as David Bowie.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Because if you say David, first of all, that could be anyone. And if you just say Bowie, that's not enough. He's so important that it's like it's David Bowie every time.
Sure. Mick Jagger is another one of those.
Yeah. You don't have to say Mick or Jagger.
Right.
It's interesting you bring this up because I finally started watching Heated Rivalry.
So good.
And I will say that it is kind of odd for them when they are engaged in their sexual acts to be referring to each other by their last names.
Well, they're sports bros.
Well, but maybe is that where it comes from? Like,
because in sports, I don't know.
So we've drawn a line from Joan Armatrading to Heated Rivalry already.
I mean, like, why wouldn't I?
Why wouldn't we?
That's true.
Apparently David Letterman is a huge fan of her. Like, I think she was a musical guest on his show. I have done zero research from this. I'm just remembering him saying her name a lot on his show when I would watch his show. Like, I think she was a musical guest on the show often. So like that's the only reason I was familiar with the name. I feel like she pops up in conversations specifically regarding like Tracy Chapman, because when you have like two Black female musicians who do folk-ish music, like obviously they're going to get lumped together. Not the only name that pops up a lot, but that was the extent of my familiarity. When I listened to the album, I was like, oh yes, of course she sounds like this. So that was my experience before prepping for this.
Well, maybe this is a convenient segue into everybody's favorite segment, to get everybody up to speed. If you don't know who Joan Armatrading is, then we can give you a little refresher. Michael, what do we call that segment?
We call that segment the Beginner's Guide to Joan Armatrading's Joan Armatrading in 60 seconds.
Yes, indeed. And I'm doing it today. Feel pretty good about this one, actually. This is different approaches to this task is the way to keep it interesting. So I took a different approach this time. So Jess, if in case you don't remember, I'm going to give a little summary of Joan Armatrading and this album in 60 seconds to try to kind of capture the essence. And then this will be the first step in you'll get to assess how I did before you start building your case for why this album is freaking perfect. Okay. All right.
I'm ready.
Okay, I am too. Count it down, brother.
3, 2, 1, go.
Joan Armatrading, that's Armatrading, was born in what is now the British Overseas Territory of St. Kitts and Nevis, and was brought up primarily in Britain's second city, Birmingham. The lore says that her mother furnished the house with a piano and pawned 2 prams for a guitar, setting the proverbial table for Joan to give voice and tune to a musical instinct that she believes she was born with. She left school at 15 to work, tale as old as time, but her songs found a glowing response in local clubs, and a fateful meeting with the lyricist Pam Nestor would bring about her debut LP, Whatever's for Us, in 1972. Her third, self-titled record arrived to much fanfare in 1976, bringing with it a top 10 single in Love and Affection. Its dynamic blend of soulful, blues-inflected guitar tunes with enough jazz folded in to keep the temperature hot, fittingly became the sound most associated with Armatrading. Despite professing to be a true introvert, Armatrading has cut over 20 records, toured the world countless times, collaborated with the musical luminaries of her generation and others in a career of 54 years.
Excellent.
right on the buzzer.
Okay,
right
starting
it
off strong. Starting the season off strong.
Good start to the season.
Well composed. Yeah, well composed.
Thank you. Okay, Jess, how did I do? If you could assess in whatever, I know you're not in the education space, as they call it, anymore,
yeah.
Or at least at this time. I think sometimes the gravitational pull of educating will pull you back in, as Michael might experience sometime in his life too. But in whatever terms you see fit, how did I do? Summarizing her.
That was A+. Beautifully written for a beautiful musician and artist. I'm really pleased. Mm-hmm.
I'll be fully transparent that I did cut off the last line. And if you don't mind me reading it, I think that in my experience of Joan so far, it feels like her. So let me just read it. Joan Armatrading is doing what she was born to do. And from what she says, she hopes to do so until the very end. I just want to put that in there too.
I love it. Yeah.
That feels like her.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, well, thanks for the A+. I'll never refuse an A+. I don't need an A+, but I won't turn it down if you're offering it to me.
Don't turn one down. Yeah.
Right. So before we get too far into Joan's lore, tell us a little bit about where's music for you right now? How are you listening to music these days? What role is it playing in your life?
I mean, it's always huge, but I will say that I got off Spotify because, and now I'm listening to Tidal.
Nice.
Which,
how's that?
Well, it's fine. It's just like Spotify. Not a great fan of Beyonce lately, but better than the alternative. So that's what I'm doing generally. But then I would say, I'm not doing the thing that a lot of people in the younger generation are doing, like going back to CDs, but I do have CDs in my life and I do have a car that can play them. So there are times, which is, yes, there are times that I do go back to CDs, but honestly, vinyl is my second. I would much rather listen to vinyl. Yeah. Well, and I have Joan Armatrading's album on vinyl from the 70s. It's the original to my mom's. But I will tell you, this is not who we're talking about today, but the vinyl I'm listening to constantly right now is Florence and the Machine's latest album, Everybody Scream. It's brilliant. And I've just been listening to it on loop. Yeah, she's actually
2025? Just this past year already, or did it come out in January?
No, it came out in 2025, and she's legitimately now openly admitting being a witch. So we're excited about
like you.
There you go.
Like you.
Fine. Yes,
that was also on our notes. That's Michael.
Yes.
Michael put that on our notes. That you're a witch.
I am, and so listening to this album,
right? Let's just make sure that the record shows.
Let the record show I'm a practicing witch. Yeah.
Okay, so vinyl. So a lot of vinyl. Michael, have you gone down the vinyl path yet? I feel like, is that an inevitable thing for you?
I move too much. Like I would be. I mean, I know people who have huge vinyl collections, and it's just like the idea of filling a box with albums. Like maybe once we've settled in a place that we're going to stay for longer than 5 years, maybe. But I don't know. It's funny you said Tidal. Like I've been trying to figure out what to do, how to listen instead. Someone recommended an app called Qboz.
Yeah,
I think
I saw that one too.
Quboz, which is, but the issue we're having is that I want to listen to the music. I want to benefit artists. I don't want my money going towards funding other things, and
any number of things.
But also how to access podcasts.
Yeah.
is the thing. That's unfortunately what makes Spotify convenient.
Yeah.
Because not to peek behind the curtain, but Michael is part of the Android ecosystem at the moment. I am part of the iPhone ecosystem.
Same, Tyler. Yeah.
So there's like there's limits there. Like Apple
Yeah.
Podcasts is pretty robust.
Right.
And is Apple, are they the least evil? Like is that the argument we're gonna make? I don't know.
To turn a phrase I turn 70,000 times a day, because of capitalism, we're just fucked. Like there's just no there like I just feel like there's nowhere to turn ever. Like you just have to eventually say, well, what is the thing I can live with today? And that's what you do.
Yeah, and I think what it necessitates sort of like a music strategy that up until this point in human history has not been necessary.
No.
You've just, like, basically what it is, it's like, all right, am I going to pay $5 a month for NTS radio? And then I'm going to listen to the morning radio show on NTS radio, and I'm going to add those songs from NTS radio on to my playlist on Qbos. And then on Qbos, and then what I'm going to do is, if I like those songs enough on Qbos, I'm going to go over to Bandcamp and I'm going to buy the album on Bandcamp. And then if I like the band enough, then I'm going to go to redbubble.com and I'm going to buy their t-shirt or whatever.
I feel like
it's interminable.
I think it might be time to go back to my roots in the 80s, and I'm just going to have other people play Spotify, and I'm going to get out my tape recorder, and I'm going to record the song when it's on, like when it's on the radio. And then I'm going to make compilation tapes based on other people's Spotify, so I'm not actually contributing.
Okay, this just reminded me, though. We haven't talked about the death of MTV, Michael, you and I. It's over officially.
Incorrect.
Incorrect? Correct me.
Incorrect. I have been following Dave Holmes on Instagram, and everyone's talking about MTV being gone, and he's like, no, just the MTV. I mean, first of all, let's be real. MTV has not really played music videos in a very, very long time. It's been gone.
Yes.
But it was MTV UK's music-centric channel has shut down. Okay. MTV is not gone.
Okay, good.
But that was the rumor that was going around, because Dave Holmes, who, famously was not the winner of the VJ contest, but the runner-up, because Jesse was crazy and they couldn't handle him doing everything that he was doing. So Dave Holmes also got a job as a VJ. Now he writes for Esquire and all these things. But when that was going around, he was like, no, check up on this.
Check your sources.
This is not accurate. So
if I'm hearing things correctly, you're saying that the UK had actual MTV that was playing music, and that shut down, and we're left with the reality television MTV.
Yes, which we had already been left with, to be honest. Because, I mean, MTV, like, the only thing it's good for right now is, RuPaul's Drag Race, and even that's a little sus at this point, so...
Is that the only place you can watch Drag Race? You can watch it.
RuPaul has spread herself everywhere so that you can't watch it without subscribing to 17 streaming services.
NFL TV to watch
it's
RuPaul's
gross.
Drag Race.
Yes, it's gross.
Well, maybe she learned it from the fracking industry in some way.
I mean,
I'm coming for you.
We are far afield.
No, not her.
I'm going to steer the ship here for a second.
Sure.
Let's talk about this album and Joan Armatrading. I mean, you already referenced it on your first conversation with us, but are there more things you can say about how you discovered it? How did this come into your life?
Yeah, this album is very much a soundtrack of my life. So I remember being really little and hearing it in the dining room. There are several songs from different artists that I remember distinctly in my dining room as a child, but this one was on a lot. And my cousin Michelle will say the same thing. Like, her and I feel the same way about it. Like, it was just always playing in our youth. It was always like this comforting background noise. And then as I grew older, it became more and more significant at changes in my life. So one of my favorite memories of this album was we have two chosen children that were students at Lindbergh High School that we took into our lives, who are now our kids. And our eldest is Seymour. And when Seymour moved in, the day that she moved in, we were playing this album. And then to this day, if you talk to Seymour about it, they're like, I love this album. And we ended up buying it for her because it was like a welcoming home album. Like, I was moving in and like, this is what I heard. And so I feel like this album is like that to anyone who listens to it. It's like, oh, you're home. And it's just so like vulnerable. Like even the lyrics, they're so vulnerable and beautiful. And so it's for me, a very comforting album. And I've always just felt like I knew her. Obviously, I've never met her, but like I've always felt like I've known Joan. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of like Joni Mitchell to me. Like she's a part of my life. So, yeah, I just love it. I love every single song, and I love her voice too. As a trained singer, like her tessitura, her range is crazy, and it's so good. And again, like hearing about her history, I'm not surprised that she wasn't like typically trained. It just sounds like it's just her. Like that's just how she's always sounded. And I love artists like that don't even have to really try. It's like, this is just who I am. And it just happens to be really pleasing to listen to.
100%. I wondered while listening to this if two vocalists came to mind. I wondered if they had been inspired by her a little bit. One being Annie Lennox.
Yeah.
I heard some very like similar tones there, and also, frankly, Fiona Apple. Like the way that Joan Armatrading uses her voice, it just like there were moments that I was like, that sounds almost exactly like.
Yeah,
I really like that. That's really good.
I mean, and there's the obvious Joni Mitchell comparisons too, because like
totally. Well, maybe they're not all that obvious because, I mean, there's this tendency to lump those women of color singer-songwriters together. I think the Nina Simone angle also makes a lot of sense to me.
That was another one that I thought of.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so those, and also I think when we talk about presence, all of those women have insane presence.
Yes.
But what I found so interesting is that her direct comparison makes sense that it's Tracy Chapman because of that a little bit shy quality that they have. You know, there's something that's not quite brash about them. But I think when we talked about Tracy Chapman, I think I expressed it like it feels like they're welcoming you in. So this home, this idea of her album being a sense of home and a sense of kind of like safety, soft landing kind of thing, really tracks to me.
Yeah. Well, and so like Nina Simone being like such a cool political singer, Joan, what's something I like about her is like she does critique a lot of like fragile masculinity in this album, but she does it in a really like soft way. Like she's not like calling people out, but she is calling it out. So she is softer and she's a little bit more shy about it for sure. But still very empowering. Like I remember growing up listening to the lyrics of this album, just thinking it is very empowering as a woman to listen to because she is vulnerable, talking about things that have happened to her in relationships and how they hurt her and how she's moving forward, but in a very like a diary way is how it feels when you're listening to it. Versus like the Nina Simones who really will just say the thing in a very powerful way, which I also love. But Joan is just different. It's like a friend confiding in you, which I really like.
You know what word it doesn't seem like it gets brought up a lot with hers? It doesn't have a folk quality to it all that much. It's more rock. It's more like, it's kind of what it feels like to me. And I think when you're expressing this kind of difference between her and Nina, Nina feels more like there's almost like an archetypal sort of folklore kind of connection that I feel with a lot of Nina's music that maybe with her it's more of that diary quality it's more quotidian, if you could say.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I had a hard time putting granted we are, as well documented, we are distrustful of genre on this podcast, but when I tried to sort of assign one to her, it depended on the song I was listening to. Like there were moments that felt like rock, there were moments that felt folk, some felt a little country western at times, some felt bluesy. I mean, she just sort of ran, I mean, in some ways, maybe you could say this album kind of runs the whole gamut of the history and development of rock music, like overall, because I mean, all of those are in rock's roots. And she's just sort of like bringing that out.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Did you all read anything about her playing at the Picnic concert at the Blackbush Aerodome with Bob Dylan and Eric Clapton and a bunch of other people it was in the 70s. Did you
No, but those are people that I would place her on a pedestal with.
Yes.
I think if we're talking about male artists that she feels like she has a similar staying power. You know, and I wonder if, you know, and our British friends maybe can help us fill in the gaps on this one. But, you know, I wonder if she has a little bit higher esteem in the UK than she does here. I wouldn't be surprised. That's a feeling that I have about her.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And one of the things that I found out about her that you mentioned a bit in your opening about her is that she started like composing symphonies or something like, and like later in life. And I'm like, that's amazing. And also, I bet that is, you know, her trajectory in in Britain, I bet, is far more complex than we are getting over here about what she's doing. But I think that, I would love to know more about her following over there.
Well, you're right about one thing that I read about that happened just last month, is that she wrote a choral piece dedicated to Birmingham. And she said, this is a really funny quote that I read about it, where she said something like, "It's not sentimental, but maybe it kind of is." You're like,
perfect.
Okay, so I don't know what to expect here. I feel like when you're dedicating something to your hometown, it's like Jess, you and I are those boring people that love our hometowns too.
We do.
Like that's the thing that is, it's a very universal. I think it's a pretty relatable concept. So, but apparently she wrote a choral piece about it just last month. So,
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I don't think she's slowing down. That's the feeling I get.
I feel like she's like a Bobby McFerrin, and that like these very quiet people that kind of come through, and then you don't even realize it's you. Oftentimes, sadly, when they pass, they'll do a retrospective, and then you find out they've done like a bazillion things you didn't know about, and you're like, what? Like I remember the first time I realized Bobby McFerrin could sing like that and conduct an orchestra, and I was watching a video of him, and I was like, how did I not know this? And it's because he's just one of those people under the radar, like living his best life in music, and I feel like Joan's like that too.
Well, I feel like the artists who are focused on the art itself and less on the spectacle of it or the business of it or the promotional aspect of it. Maybe it's because right now and Tyler knows this, I'm currently reading David Lynch's autobiography, and it's just fascinating to read his thoughts. Because actually, it's a really cool, the way it's written is really cool. There's another writer on it. So every chapter, this biographer, I think her name's Christine McKenna, writes a biography of a portion of his life, and then he responds. So every chapter has two parts, and he responds to all the things that she brought up from her journalism and whatnot. And it's like, I mean, he just understandably goes on some tangents when he responds to things.
As he's wont to do.
Yeah.
You're a bit of a Lynch head, right, Jess?
Slightly, I have, of course, this will be a tangent as well, but like, I went to NYU, and one of my greatest friends, my first year, and I need to call him now I'm thinking about it. I had this friend, Michael Solsky, who was this film major weirdo, and we hit it off immediately because I love everything that's weird. And he is the weirdest person I've ever met. And he loved David Lynch. And so he, classic college freshman year, he was like, you have to rent Eraserhead, and you have to. And so I did rent it on VHS and watch it. He taught me a lot about David Lynch. And one of the things he told me, and Michael, you might be able to say if this is true or not based on the biography, but he said that David Lynch had said reportedly once that he didn't care at all about storylines. He just cared about images. And so he was just putting images together. And I was like, that's a very roguish thing to do in film because people don't like that. But I've always appreciated that about David Lynch. I will say, of all the David Lynch films I've seen, I always have a point in the film where I fall asleep because it's just David Lynch doing David Lynch and stuff. And after about an hour and a half, you're like, time for a nap. And then you wake up and you're like, yep, we're still doing this image. Got it. Yeah. Love it.
It lulls you. It lulls you. Maybe not you, Michael. I don't know.
It lulls you unless it's like, I don't know, is it possible for something like Lost Highway to really lull you? Because I feel like that to me is his that or Wild at Heart feel like his most aggressive to me.
Wild at Heart's aggressive.
Like, I don't know. Have you ever watched Inland Empire?
No.
I actually haven't seen that one either. I need to.
It's over 3 hours. And that one is it just, I mean, Laura Dern gives an outstanding performance in it.
She does not miss, I will say.
Can I say that this is, I, as a child, love Laura Dern from Jurassic Park, go to college, end up loving Laura Dern for David Lynch films because she's in all of them. So it was funny because as like an 18-year-old, I was like, Laura Dern. Oh, Laura Dern. Okay. Yeah.
In the Twin Peaks: The Return, she's in that, even though she wasn't in the original series.
Yeah.
And the character she plays it's just like, it's like a gift to the fans. Like, it's so good. But
we love it.
Anyway.
Well, okay, Michael, should we go to Standout?
I think, yeah, let's talk about standout tracks.
All right. So, Jess, much as you did with Rumours, which was a Herculean task to choose a standout from that album, we've asked you what your standout track is from Joan Armatrading, what would you say right this moment is your standout track on this album?
It's Down to Zero.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you're watching on YouTube, then you're about to hear Down to Zero, which is great. You should listen to this podcast on YouTube and watch it. So go ahead and listen to Down to Zero and then come back for the second part of the episode, conveniently placed in this playlist.